Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. My name is Nora and today I'll be showing you how to make a princess seamed top. So let's get started. Remember in the previous video we said that measurements are divided into two, the vertical measurements and the horizontal measurements. Now the vertical measurements here, as you can see, are the shoulder to bust point, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to half length or true waist, shoulder to the length of the top or hip, and then on the horizontal axis we have the round bust or the bust circumference, we have the half length or true waist, and we have the round hip. These are our horizontal measurements around the body, and these are our vertical measurements along the body. So let's get started. This style that the customer has chosen has a sleeve length of 17 and a funnel shaped sleeve, so it's going to have flare at the hem area, and her sleeve round or biceps is 14 inches. So let's get started. Please excuse the background noise. I'm in the studio and we have a very tight schedule, so please excuse the background noise. I also have a trainee here who will watch along as we sew. So let's get started. First of all, to get a princess seam top, you are going to add 4 inches to the widest part of your measurement. In this case, since the blouse will get to the hips, we are going to add 4 inches to the hip measurement. So if you notice here, her hip is 44 inches. So I'll be dividing 44 by 4, will be 11 inches. If we add 4 inches to 11 inches, it becomes 15 inches. So I'm going to be folding 15 inches here on this axis. That's how much fabric I'll be needing, 15 inches. And because this Ankara has a pattern, I'll try as much as possible to work with the pattern. So the bulbs are going to be facing the top. So I have marked the vertical measurement on this fabric. The first measurement here is the shoulder. Then we have the shoulder to chest line or armhole line, shoulder to bust point, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to half length or true waist, and then the blouse length itself or shoulder to hip. So these are all the vertical measurements that I have extended. Next, I got my bust point line or dart line. This is a dart line. How do you get your dart line? I simply measure the person's apex to apex or nipple to nipple and divided it by 2 and added half inches of allowance. So this person's apex to apex is 8 inches. Dividing that by 2 is 4. Adding half inch allowance for sewing makes 4.5, and that is why this line is 4.5 all the way down, 4.5, as you can see. If you don't know how to get your chest line, I suggest that you watch my previous video so that you see how we got our chest line. Now there are some measurements that are very basic or standard. The first of all is the 2 3/4 inches, which is like a standard to get the shoulder slope, and then the next one is the 7.5 inches, which you will see in my previous video. This is the 7.5 inches there, and then you get a ruler, a small ruler beside you there. We are going to use a ruler to mark it through. So we have our ruler here, and then we get the slope down. So that's our slope. Now since this person's shoulder is 8 inches plus half, it has gone past this slope of 1 inch. If your shoulder is less, you come in. If it is more, you go out. Please watch the previous video to see how we get the slope. Now after having gotten the slope, the next thing is to start taking in our darts. We first go to the waist. At the waist point, for this measurement, I'm going to be taking out half inches on either side. So I have half inch here, half an inch here. That means I've taken out 1 inch here. You can see I've taken out 1 inch. At the under bust, I'm going to be taking out 1 inch on either side. So this is 1 inch here, another 1 inch here. That means I've taken out 2 inches at the under bust. Now I'm not going to take anything from the bust, but I'm going to come down 1 inch from the bust point. From the bust point line, come down 1 inch and also go up by 1 inch. So this will be used for shaping. So I'm going to connect this to this. As you see me do, you can use your free hand or use a curve. And then taking it here and here again. So that's my dart. Try to make it round so that it's not sharp at the edge. And then this now, I'm going to be taking a dart here at the armhole area. To determine where to take the dart, I simply divide this into 2. Get the middle. I'll be taking my darts there. I want to take out a dart of 1.5 inches in total. So this is 1.5 inches I've taken out there. So I'm going to be connecting this to this place. Remember, I went up 1 inch here. I'm connecting. And I'll also connect this to this place. Can you see how I've connected it? So if you have a French curve, it will make your work easy. But in the event that you don't have one, you can freehand it. So I'll go out by one, you know, I've taken out 1.5 inch here. I'll go out by the same 1.5 inch. So I go out by 1.5 inches here. The reason for going out is because there are a lot more contours on this side seam. If you do not go out, by the time I join, this will be shorter than this, and it will require me reshaping the armhole. So, but if you go out like this stops here, while this goes out, by the time you join, it will balance. So you see, I have gotten the shape of a bust already. My bust shape is ready. Now my dart is going to stop 2 inches from my blouse length or hip line. So that is where this dart is going to stop. So that is where the dart is going to stop. I'm going to cut through this way and cut through this way. I'm done with marking my princess seam. I'm going to be taking the measurements around the body now to be sure that I have shaped it. First, I'll start with the neck. For this person, she's comfortable with a neck of 4 inches. 4 inches will be just fine on her. And then the depth of the neck that she wants is 6 inches. So I'll measure 4 inches here to be sure it's straight. I have my 4 inches there. I connect. And then from the middle of this line here, you can just give a nice curve that stops just shy of 2 inches here. Just take it down here and curve. You can use a French curve to make this easy. So in the end, you have about 1 inch here on this diagonal. On the diagonal line here, you should have like 1 inch. So you just give a nice curve there. And that is it. Now the measurements around the body. For her bust measurement, I'll be working on the chest line. I'll take the bust measurement on the chest line. She has a bust of 38 inches. That's 9.5. But remember that I'm taking out 1.5 inches here of that. I'll account for that 1.5 inch here. Also remember that I'm going to be using half inch to join this together. So that makes 1 inch. 1 inch more. So I pay back that 1 inch here. And then also remember that I'm going to be joining the front and the back. So for the side seam allowance, I also need 1 inch. So I pay back, I write that 1 inch here. In total, I should have like 3.5 inches. So always remember, if you're using this method, at the chest line, you should have 3.5 inches after the bust measurement. Let me take it again. Our bust is 38 inches, that's 9.5. But I'm taking out 1.5 inches here. I've paid it back here. I'll be using 1/2 inch on either sides to join this. That makes 1 inch. I've paid the 1 inch here. I'll also be using 1 inch to join the front and back together. And that is this final 1 inch. In total, 3.5 inches. Next, I'll move to the waistline. At the waistline here, I took out 1 inch. So, her waist is 35 inches. And that's 8 3/4. 8 3/4. Dividing 35 by 4 is 8 3/4. I have my 8 3/4 there. I've taken out 1 inch here. I'll pay it back. I'm also going to be using half inch to join this together. I account for it there. And then I'll be using 1 inch to join the front and the back together. And so I pay for that 1 inch here. So here, you should have 3 inches. Standard, you should have 3 inches more if you are following this method. Here you should have 3.5 inches after the measurement. Here you should have 3 inches after the measurement. And then I move to the hip line. What's the hip there? What's 44? Okay, so 44 makes 11. I have 11 there. I'm going to be using 1/2 inch on either sides to hold this dot line together. That makes 1 inch. And so I mark the 1 inch there. I'm also going to be using 1 inch to join front and back together. And so that's the 1 inch. So on this line, I should have 2 inches after my measurement. 2 inches extra. And so that is it. So I'm going to be using my ruler now to connect it. I connect like that. And like that. Now here, I'll reshape the armhole. This armhole is going to come, since I've gone out by 1.5 inches, this one is going to come in like this. And back down here. Originally, it should have come like something like this. But because we have extended this line, this will be reshaped. By the time I join it, it will even up and balance here. So I'm going to cut this front, and then you watch me cut the back. The back is easier than the front. Make sure not to have a sharp edge here, because the human body is not sharp. I don't want a sharp edge there. Next, I'm going to cut this here. I'm cutting the side panel first. You notice I'm cutting the side panel first. This place too will not be sharp. Please use a good scissors when you are cutting. So I have my side panel here, and then I want to cut the center front now. So this is the front part of this blouse or top, a armhole princess seam top. So by the time I join, this will just balance up here and give me a nice armhole. If you join and you feel the armhole is small, you can always take it in a little more, take it down a little more. Otherwise, this should just be fine. So when you join, this will go up and then it will just sit down fine. So I'm going to cut the back now.